Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. This is time management strategies and skills. We'll be reviewing different kind of skills and also different, I guess you could say, strategies and what has worked for some of us and maybe what hasn't worked for some of us as well. Throughout the presentation, I'm definitely going to be opening up the floor for scholars and everyone to share, ask questions, and also hopefully share the personal stories of what has worked and maybe like I said before, maybe what has not. Any questions before I get started? If there's someone speaking and let's say you just don't want to forget what you're going to say, or maybe you just don't want to quite speak it, feel free to use the chat box as well. Then any questions that do come up, as soon as I see them in the chat box, I'll make sure we address them when the floor is open. So as we begin, first question is, what is time? Does anyone have an idea what time is? Or at least in their opinion, what they view time as? Would anyone say that time is a resource?
Yeah, time is a very precious resource.
And why is it so precious?
It doesn't come back when it went.
Exactly. It's once it's passed, it's gone. And also the thing that one of the I should say interesting things about time is that the same amount of time is available to all of us. It's just certain circumstances and certain personal choices limits how much actual time is at our disposal and how we actually use it. Anyone have anything to add or would like to share? As I said, time is a human concept. It is the way we measure our lives and what we do. And as I've stated previously, it is equal opportunity. The same amount of hours are available to everyone. Just our circumstances determine how that time can be used, and also personal choices of how we use it. Time is unpredictable. There will be moments when it moves too slow, and those moments when it seems that it just slips away from you and flies by so fast. And time is, Rashid has stated, is a resource that cannot be renewed. Once it is gone, you cannot get more or relive it again. So next, basically what the whole purpose of the workshop is, what is time management? Anyone care to give a guess? Or share from personal experience?
Yes, when you manage your time and you make a balance between, for example, your studies, your personal life, like this.
Thank you, Asma. And then I'm sorry, another scholar was speaking. Do you care to share?
I think time management for me is when you're trying to study or something, you want to get the stuff submitted on time.
Okay, no. So those are both. Thank you, Amy. Those are both very good examples of what time management is. But let me ask: is it something that you're just normally can just develop, or does it take time? Is it like a practice skill?
I think it's a practice skill that we can develop over time.
100%. Thank you, Rashid. So that was what I was trying to pretty much aim for. It is a skill. It's also a system that helps you stay organized, plans for the future, helps you accomplish more, have more free time, and also helps you develop a more balanced life. And one of the main keys of time management is that it's also self-management. Not time managing time is managing yourself, your responsibilities, your priorities, what you value as important, and maybe just what you have time for, as well as certain circumstances limit us, whether we're working full time and going to school full time, or some of us are also parents. There's a lot of different factors that kind of dictates how much time we have available to us. And basically the time management comes down to is how we manage that time that is available, and basically how we prioritize what we give a certain amount of time to. So where does the time go? This is just a small little exercise to just kind of help us realize where maybe time goes in our day and how much we can prioritize it and ways we can manage it. I'll put this in the chat box at the end in case anyone wants to do this on their own time, just as something to put in their daily, like a daily practice for themselves. There's definitely more like in-depth options or varieties of this, but this is just a really basic one that I thought would just at least cover the point. So where does everyone think that most of their time would go to? We give a chance to open discussion up.
This is really interesting. I like how it has pretty much everything in there. I'd say for me, most of my time is spent between sleep, homework and study, and jobs. So, yeah.
Oh, definitely. I mean, without sleep, and especially as let's say adequate amount, it definitely could affect the rest of our time management. Definitely make us feel burnt out. So, getting enough sleep and a good amount is definitely takes up a lot of time. School's another great one. Thank you for sharing, Alicia. Anyone else have any thing they'd like to add or share? Or maybe there's something on this list that I don't think is there that should be. All right. So what I show here is just a mock that I filled out real quick, just to, like I said, to kind of illustrate the point. We have just generally I did 7 hours per day as 49 hours. Grooming, taking care of ourselves physically is 3.5. Eating about 7 hours if you're really kind of rushing and kind of on the move. You don't really get to sit down and enjoy eating as much with your family or others. Traveling, if you have to travel to work and from school. I know with the pandemic recently, a lot of our classes are online, so that might eliminate some of the travel time, or especially if we're working remotely, that can maybe that was able to take time away from traveling and be able to apply more of that time to other areas that we need to make more time for. Classes, if you're taking about on a full course load, I would assume about like 4 courses would be about 11 hours. Homework, that's about 22 hours. If you think about it, they generally say for every hour in class, you try to put 3 hours to like working towards that, whether it's through studying or even doing homework, or even if we have to write long papers for term papers. Club sports, exercise is very important. Jobs, 40 hours a week, I estimated. TV and computer. Leisure time is 7 hours. Texting, that seems to consume a lot of our lives, and I guess that goes hand in hand with social life. And one of the ones on the bottom, I'm just not sure if I'm blocking it here, is other. Can anyone think of what other would be? I think this is a very important one that gets overlooked a lot. But what would you think would fit in the category as other? Oh, Alicia beat me to it on the chat. Self-care. That's a huge one that I think a lot of individuals overlook, especially during this pandemic. Self-care is a big one that we just always kind of put to the bottom of the list and don't really think about. And I think self-care kind of goes in with sleep and eating and good habits, is just that taking care of ourselves. If we don't take care of ourselves or give us that mental break time throughout the week, whether it's an hour a day, maybe 10 minutes even a day, just to maybe go for a walk, but however we can squeeze it into our lives, it's just, I feel that's a very important aspect that a lot of us overlook and just don't make time for. Does anyone else feel this way about self-care, or have found ways that they care to share about they're able to put self-care in their busy lifestyles or work schedules?
I could say meditation.
Definitely. And oh, sorry, I didn't want to cut off who was speaking.
Doing yoga. I know it's like the same thing meditation, but like doing yoga poses.
And then since you're currently speaking, hey, I mean, how often like do you do a daily yoga meditation, or do you do it more like once a week?
Well, for me, I do it like mostly like when I get up in the morning, like every day. But for Saturdays, I go to the yoga studio at 12 p.m. to 1.
Oh, that's cool. And has that been affected with the pandemic? Is it virtual, or you're able to go in social distance and all that good stuff?
Well, for the morning, it's from the YouTube, but on Saturday it's in person because, well, my mom paid for my yoga classes, and she doesn't want, and she likes when I do it in person. When it's virtual, I might get distracted, whether it's school or taking care of my brother.
Fair enough. And then what benefits do you think you get from yoga, if you don't mind sharing?
What I get from yoga is like one's in the morning, you like when you like barely awake, when you do a couple minutes of yoga, it feels like you woke up, like it's like you really woke up.
It gets
And
gets
and
you
when you're doing some like poses, not only for its time, not only it helps for like when you feel better, it mostly helps for like better sleep or like back pain or something.
so so what it sounds like is gets you started and when you do it in the morning, it gets you woken up and awake, get your mind and your body flowing, and then also during the day, it's also cares for not just your self physically but mentally.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Welcome.
And just to go back to you, Rashid, what do you do? Have any like how often do you do it? Daily or weekly? Your meditation?
Yeah, I think I do it daily. It's like as a Muslim, I pray maybe 5 times a day. So each pray takes me maybe 10 minutes. So 10 minutes times 5 is 15 minutes a day of meditation and praying. So that's helped me a lot.
And how long does that usually take? You said like 10, 15 minutes? Sorry, you did say that.
Yes, 10 minutes.
And how does that benefit you, would you say, for the rest of the day?
Oh, it's worshiping God. It's it's something that we can't escape.
I don't know.
And when you do it, it's like you feel like you do what you have to do.
All right. Thank you for sharing. And I know like from other workshops we've done about like self-care and meditation and anxiety management, all the simple self-care and meditation takes, and even as hey, let me see what yoga can take simply like 10 minutes a day. And even meditation, there's exercise you can do and complete like with breathing exercises. Maybe while you're in your car, it takes 5 minutes, or you're waking up with your cup of coffee, it takes 2 minutes. Just these simple little breaks mentally and can be very beneficial for the rest of your day, relieve you a little bit of stress, and it goes a really long way. Oh, sorry, keep hitting the wrong button. Bear with my technology settings, please. Anyone had anything else they'd like to share about whether it's not just self-care, but just other areas where they feel that a lot of the time goes in their days?
Well, for me, I'm going to piggyback on those two previous comments. Like prayer, I think it's just little conversations with God will happen a lot. I'm a mom as well, so I have to think about so many things that don't always have to do directly with me. And I feel like just saying that, like feeling like I'm communicating, just like saying it, it's almost like a therapy. You're able to listen to what it is that you're asking for or need at the moment and calm yourself down a little bit. You start to think about it in another way that's not just a worry. You're kind of like putting it up, and then other thoughts will come to you, like how I'm going to do this, or I don't need to worry so much about this. Maybe let it go for now. And that's helpful.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Pamela. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you for all those who did share, and those who didn't, no worries. If there's anything that does come up later that maybe we've already passed this, we discussed in the past, don't feel that limits you. Just speak up or put it in the chat box, and we'll definitely will address and discuss it. And just bear with me, my technology isn't doing too well at the moment. I think without the slide, the next discussion was going to be about peak times. Does everyone know what a peak time is?
The busiest time in your day, most productive time.
Yeah, bingo. The most productive time is what I was going for. So it's basically the time that you function mentally and physically at your best, whether it's due to certain factors such as maybe just your work schedule or just how you are genetically and just how you've gotten to this point where you work best at night or you work best in the morning. Does anyone else care to share what they know about peak time, or maybe care to share what their peak time may be? Like such as, are you a morning person, a night person, and maybe the reason why?
My peak time is at night. after my kids have gone to bed, everything else that I need to attend to with them has happened. I can sit down and like focus on my own work. I do it quietly, more productively, and just like I feel like I'm more alive at that moment because I'm only focusing on my things.
And Pamela, were you always a nighttime person, or just kind of circumstances have made you a nighttime person?
No, always. I think my parents used to like yell at me a lot to go to bed, but that's actually when I wanted to do things when everybody else was settled.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I mean, I think I used to always be a morning person, but with how being a new father and just with life how it goes, I feel like the time that I can get the most done and be able to function the best is at night. So circumstantially, I've become a nighttime person. Anybody here not a morning person?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, depending on the day.
Yes.
Is that just genetically how you are, or just kind of just the way your schedule works that you kind of have to be a morning person during those certain times of day or those days of the week?
Well, when it's school, I'm a morning person, but when it's like the weekend, when it's the weekend, when my alarm clock goes on, I just turn it off and just go back to bed.
I miss those days, but that's awesome. At least you're aware of it and you can actually have those days, so that's good. And then during our peak times, can everyone see my screen? Just the reaction thumbs up will be good. Good, awesome, thank you.
Yes.
So how we should use our peak time, just as Naomi said, myself, Pamela, basically, those are the times that you have available that maybe you're functioning at your best, or maybe those are the times that you can actually just due to circumstances do the most work. So using your peak time is key. And during that time, you should probably do, whether it's your studying, scheduling your most challenging courses for actually in-person classes. Because if you function best at night, maybe you want to take that difficult math class at night because you know that you'll be firing on all cylinders. And if anything that you're presented with a challenge, you won't just kind of shut it down because you know that this is the time you function at your best. Definitely set time during your peak time to study if you're able to. Prepare for upcoming assignments and tasks. Like I would definitely encourage you that if you do have any spare time during your peak time, that's a great way to manage your time. Just use your spare time to plan how to manage the rest of your time during the week. Let's say that you have like 2 papers due and you know the one paper is going to be got a lot more problems, but your Tuesdays and Thursdays you're more available or more free. Maybe you want to use your Tuesdays and Thursdays to tackle that more challenging paper and the other days of the week to tackle the easier one. Something like that as an example. Because we could spend an entire day and just going over the different circumstances or ways to do this, but that's as long as you're getting the point, that's all I can ask for. And then what does anyone care to share what they believe to be the biggest enemy of time management?
Social media? I don't know.
No, that's definitely part of it. But then what would social media lead to?
Distractions, like unnecessary distractions.
Procrastinating.
Both correct, but definitely you hit it right on the head, Naomi. Or Naomi, sorry. So procrastination, and can you tell us what procrastination is?
Getting distracted while doing your work, with schoolwork or chores or anything above.
No, basically, yeah, perfect. In a nutshell, it's basically,
I think it's postponing.
yeah,
Procrastinating is postponing things.
pushing it off as long as possible or
Yes.
to the very last minute. Thank you.
Yes.
So, and then as Pamela said, social media is what can be one thing that definitely contributes to procrastination. Pretty much anything, any kind of distraction, and maybe hanging out with friends. We rather do that than actually like sit down to do any studying. So that leads to our procrastination and pushes important things off that we should be getting done. Ways to avoid procrastination is know what tasks are involved and what resource will be needed to accomplish it. So kind of using your schedule to map it out of how to avoid it. So maybe list the parts and steps involved in the task, breaking it down, like such as you have to write a paper. So you have to do research. You actually have to do the draft. Then you have to actually do the paper itself and then do the works cited. So maybe breaking that steps down and throughout the week and seeing which days you can put more time for the research and vice versa. And again, definitely key is allowing for more time to complete the task. If you choose to delay, so if you choose to push it back, make sure that you do have that. If you want to push it back to the weekend, make sure that you're not working that weekend, or promise somebody to help them move, that you'll have that availability to actually do it if you do choose to delay it. Let others know what you must do and when. That's definitely key for someone like myself that has difficulty saying no to people and also like to help others. Making sure that you tell everyone that like I can't hang out, or sorry, this weekend just I'm going to be busy this weekend. So if you need help, I can help you now, or maybe the following weekend, but I'm pretty much locked down. So if you tell people that, usually they'll know not to reach out and maybe to tempt you to go out, or maybe try to ask you for help because they know that you're very busy. It definitely can be very helpful. And then also plan to reward yourself when the task is done. Something very simple, which will go down with a method I'm about to explain. But if you want to do like 10 minutes of something, or you got a paper done, maybe going out and rewarding yourself with something that you're not normally used to, like whether it's going out with friends, or maybe going on like, I don't know, a skiing adventure since it's snowing out at the moment, something of that nature that's that you don't always do, like watch TV, something that's like kind of like spruces it up a better, makes it a little extra. Anyone have any techniques that they use to avoid procrastination that's not listed? Or maybe one of these techniques that they do use, but they know how to use it in more of a better detail?
I like to put alarms in my phone because we have them all the time now. So I put little alarms to let me know, like I need to get started on something soon. So I don't have to start another episode on Netflix or anything else. Just let myself know, like, you got to do this now.
Awesome. No, I do that as well. Thank you, Pamela. Anyone else?
One class, I put a planner. I always write my homework ever since high school. Now it's like a routine that I have to do. And when it comes to like classes like now, I usually put a time. Yeah, I usually put a timer on my phone and for 25 minutes, and then when it's over, I get a 5-minute break, then continue.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Haley. I was gonna actually get into that uh, very briefly, but to just kind of capitalize off what Haley said, there's a technique actually called the Pomodoro technique. I mean, you've probably practiced this or heard about it without actually knowing it. This is just the actual technical term I should say in the counseling world, since that's more of the world I'm more familiar with. But the Pomodoro technique, basically what you do is you choose a task you'd like to get done, whether it's homework, research, studying, and then you take a timer, whether it's on your cell phone or you actually have like an egg timer, and you set that timer for 25 minutes. And you just dedicate yourself during that 25 minutes to doing whatever task that you've pretty much made that your priority, whether it's your homework, your research, your studying. And you keep going until you hear that timer go off for 20, whether it's 25 minutes or whatever time you choose. And then once the alarm rings, you take a 5-minute break. And then you keep practicing this procedure, the cycle, I guess you would say, for at least like 4 more times. And when you do that for the 4 more times, you extend. I'm sorry, I think this is blocking it. You extend your time for, let's say, like 10 more minutes, where you'll work for, or sorry, your break for 15 more minutes. So then you go back and you do 25 minutes of work. And then since you've already went through 4 cycles, you'll, instead of taking just a 5-minute break, you can take a 15-minute break. And this is a way that just kind of train yourself to like how to tackle a situation or a priority that you've pretty much made time for, and how to like reward yourself briefly, or just make sure you don't get overwhelmed from just whether it's writing or doing research. And I guess the hardest part about this is staying true to it. So if you're like maybe in a very important paragraph, or you're reading like a difficult section of a chapter and the timer goes off, I would say just wrap up the sentence you're on, or finish reading the paragraph you're on, and call it breaks. Because once you break the cycle, it becomes really hard to stick to it. So that's definitely probably the most challenging part of this technique. And also just, I guess, the repetition. Like once you do it one night, the next night you go to sit down, you might not be so keen to do it, but the more you practice it, the more you get better at managing your time, or whatever, I should say task management, managing whatever task you're trying to complete. And it's been proven through a lot of studies that this can be very effective, especially when you put the time and patience to perfect it. Has anyone used this technique or anything similar to it?
Only when my babies were little. Obviously, when you're doing stuff with them, things are important to be timed. They have a shorter attention span. They need a lot more things done in the day. So then I did, but I've never applied it to something like school, which is smart, and I should.
Oh, thank you. And now I know I don't want to blow up her spot, but I know Miss Maria, she's in one of my past workshops. She definitely said that she used this. She didn't know it was called a certain name, but she's definitely uses this practice in her life. Anybody from my quiet crowd, Gwen or Annie, Christopher, or Asma, any had this technique ever used anything like this similar or heard anything like it?
I just started applying this technique to my work, just to like focus more on school and stuff, and to better manage my own private work life.
Has it been working?
Yeah, it has. It has.
Awesome. And just last question, where did you find out about it, or just kind of common sense you developed it?
Not the specific technique. Like I didn't know about the name or anything. I just,
The practice of it?
yeah, the practice.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing, Christopher. Anyone else?
Yeah, Neil, I think it's obvious and it's normal because our brain can focus just for 30 minutes. So after each 30 minutes, we have to take a break. If you push your mind to, or you push yourself doing things more than 30 minutes, your concentration is not there. So every 30 minutes, you have to take a break.
Kind of refresh your mind, give it like a reset button.
Yes. And the most important thing is you have to put your phone away.
Yeah, no, that definitely.
There is a lot of notifications, WhatsApp notifications, Facebook notifications, and every minute you have a new notification. So it's disturbing.
No, definitely good point, Rashid. Thank you. I know especially if you're using your phone as a timer, I would suggest putting on airplane mode to eliminate those outside distractions. But you have to be safe, especially if you have kids or you care for any elderly family members. In case there is an emergency, you don't want to cut them off. But everyone has different circumstances. But that's definitely one thing. If you can, definitely try to remove the phone away from the equation.
One thing I noticed also with the phone, there's like the sleep mode. I usually have it for my bedtime where everything kind of mutes. And if someone calls multiple times, so mostly 2 times, if they call me twice, then the call will go through. If someone texts me twice or the same person multiple times, it'll go through and I'll receive a notification. So you could also apply that to that, where if someone's calling you multiple times, so if there was an emergency, hopefully they wouldn't just call one time, but they will call and it will go through the second time. Or if other people are calling, it'll come through and it'll notify you, hey, someone's calling you.
Alicia, is this like a program on your phone or?
No, I noticed that it was on, like I have iPhone. Well, I guess everyone has iPhone, huh? Or mostly. But I noticed it because of trying to establish like a sleep routine and how kind of trying to do time management and making sure I have enough time to decompress and go to sleep and things like that. There's a setter on your alarm where it's like you could set a bedtime and it'll send you like a notice going, okay, time to wind down, because most of the time everyone's on their phone, so you'll see it and then it kind of gives you that timer to go, hey, an hour or so, your bedtime's at 10, it'll go off at 9 o'clock. And once like it's set, so 10 o'clock hits, that's your bedtime, it mutes everything. So you could still be on your phone, but it'll mute it. Or if like you turn it off, you lay it down, it's not going to ring or anything unless someone calls you multiple times.
And that's just and what setting is that? Just on your normal alarm?
Yeah, it's just on my alarm. I can try to look it up. Let me see.
I know I'm kind of a technology caveman, so all this all like groundbreaking to me. So maybe
I didn't know about it either. My sisters actually showed me. They told me about it because they have their timers and stuff. But it should be something on there like under alarm, and it'll have something that's like sleep and wake up. And you can set the different timers or set your alarm to be specific things.
Cool. Thank you very much for sharing. It's something I learned new. Always learning. Anyone else care to add anything, or even what Alicia shared? And then with common habits of those who do not use time management. I know a lot of us maybe see this more frequently than others in our lives, or maybe see it a lot. But lateness, this was one I'm big on, especially with working two jobs and was going to school full time. Was definitely late for something, whether it's work, school, or submitting assignments. Lateness was definitely part of my routine.
They'll quit things and not finish them.
I'm sorry, Pamela.
They will quit things more often and just not finish something they started.
Definitely higher stress, obviously, but the lateness and also not completing things. And then if you're not completing things, something's hurting and might probably get a result badly, whether it's failing in class or getting fired, which hopefully not, but that's usually what will happen if a lot of negative things keep happening in that. So the stress will definitely go through the roof. Cram rather than study. You find yourself like the night before an exam, just trying to, or night before something's due, a paper even, just trying to get it all done within that time span that you wait until the last minute. And so you're just cramming and not really getting giving it the full time it deserves. And maybe your paper's not coming out complete, or you're just brushing over things you should be paying more attention to. Sometimes, at least I can definitely say cramming has been successful where I've passed classes and it's worked out. Other moments, definitely not. But whatever the result was on the exam, I can definitely tell you that I lost sleep. My life was a lot worse because of it. My weekends after or days after were awful because I was just all that anxiety from being stressed, losing sleep, just definitely added up. Again, tired due to frequent all-nighters, so I kind of jumped the gun on that. But you definitely just become exhausted from pulling those cramming sessions. This is just going to be a few things that begin with the word but you're unorganized, unaware, unprepared, definitely unprepared. I felt that many times. That definitely leads into stress. Uninvolved, whether you're uninvolved in whatever your priorities are supposed to be, whether it's school, your work, your lives with your friends, your social life, even your children. If you have children, you find yourself you're not as involved with them because you didn't manage your time appropriately. So if you're hectic and all over the place, you'll try to be giving them too much time or the right amount of time. Then you'll be taking time away from school. And then if you're just unprepared and don't actually have a set schedule, which is one of the priorities of time management, you'll just find that you're just very all over the place and unprepared, and just you're a mess. And it's rough. It's stressful. It's tiring. And it's all no good. It's all negative. And then you're also, like I said, unreliable. You're not there for people, especially yourself and your responsibilities. And it's yeah, it's just very bad. Can anybody relate to any of this or share any of their experiences with any of these bad habits?
Yeah, I mean, lateness is definitely something I always tell my kids. It's better to be early. As soon as you're late, you're already in a foul mood. It kind of like messes up your day. You're in a foul mood, you're not going to do things productively. You're already off. So yeah.
Definitely. And then also, if it's a group session or maybe working with people, it definitely puts everyone else in a foul mood too. Usually if you're late, you're distracting the class maybe when it was more in person and you had to walk in front of everyone and the class had to stop. Or if your teammates are counting on you and then they have to wait because you're late, it definitely puts everything in a foul mood, or puts it already at a state you shouldn't have to be if you were on time.
Yeah, and then I don't know if anybody else is a parent, and I keep referring to these things because I also teach teen parents, and I tell them, like, when you feel guilty about things, it's because you weren't prepared with your kids. Like, that's what it is. All the uns will be very like in your face when you see that other parents are doing XYZ for their kids and you're always catching up. So there's a lot of guilt that goes into it. So it's always good to have some kind of a system, just like to keep yourself up on these things, because parents can be brutal.
Definitely. And then since you're sharing, is there any suggestions you can give to how to stay on top of it?
Well, the schools now give out calendars. I'll show you a calendar that I have where everybody in the family has to like give me things that they're doing. We fill them out. I haven't done them in a little while because we're in COVID and nobody's doing too many things, but it's like this. my things would be in black, my son's things would be in blue. They pick a color and they put things in there that are important that they know are coming up so that I have not just like that they told me, but I will see it to remember. So if there's something I needed to get for them, I will remember in time and things like that. Like that helps. When you see things, you write them down and you see them, your recall is probably going to be a little bit better.
And do you put that in like a main common place, or is that just in your own office?
Right now it's in the dining room because that's where everybody stops to do studying and stuff, since everybody's doing a lot of online things. So everybody sees it and remembers it to add something in or cross something off if it changed or anything like that. But before, what people do, they used to write notes on the refrigerator. It's kind of like that kind of system.
No, that's exactly what Alicia put in the chat about having a calendar hanging in the kitchen. But yeah, the old school refrigerator, definitely very key. Somewhere that not just you see it, but everyone else that you interact with definitely sees
One,
it.
sometime one's like before the pandemic, I always forget if I have class. So I put what classes I have, what stuff I do on my Google Calendar. So whether it's my phone or laptop, I can get a reminder what time I have class, and if I have, and for the planner what day I have homework.
Awesome. Thank you, Naomi. And then as Pamela also said too, color, like having like a color code or color strategy definitely is also another tip. It's obviously you're going to prioritize it or make your own system, but if there's like certain things that are more urgent, you might put that in red on through your calendar for the week, or other things that aren't as urgent but need to get done at some point, you could put in blue. But that's definitely another technique to add to your calendar or whiteboard. Thank you for sharing, everyone. So this is called the 7-day procrastination plan. It's kind of weird just because it throws people off, because it's not actually has to be completed over 7 days. It's just that each strategy or each part of the plan, it just begins with the letter of a day of the week. So that's why it's kind of the 7-day procrastination plan. But so when you're picking something that you're going to do, and make it meaningful, make sure that whatever you choose to do, especially when you have a week doing it, that you have a lot to do, that whatever you choose to do during your free time is actually making a difference. Whether it's not if it's not like towards a task that like you have a paper due or something that needs to be done, at least that maybe it's something that like you're helping your kid with their home, or your child with their homework, or you're visiting your grandma who's been very sick. Something that you've definitely making an impact with that spare time, that it's not just being wasted like sitting and watching like Netflix. Not that it's bad to relax and do those pleasures, but still, it's those guilty pleasures can wait later when you're like you have a week that's more free and you're able to do things that maybe aren't as meaningful or time isn't as restricted. Take it apart. Like I said earlier, any big task, it's definitely any task seems like very daunting, and when you just look at it as a whole, it can be overwhelming. When you actually take it apart, not only are you building towards completing it because you're seeing what has to be done, but it's also making it more easily, like not easily, but more easy, because you're seeing like what needs to be done, how you can do it, and then how you can maybe spread that across your available times throughout your week to attack it or to tackle it. Writing a goal statement. I'm not gonna lie, I've never done this, but I've heard a lot of people who have, and whether it's daily or per semester or even weekly, writing your statement of what you plan to do this week or plan to do this semester. Like I plan to not fail any classes this semester, or I plan to take tutoring so I will avoid the poor grades I had the previous semester. Anything in written, like you're almost making a written contract to yourself, and like just seeing your thoughts actually written on paper can be very beneficial and give you more motivation and make it visual, almost like taking it apart. It gives you a visual like goal to work towards, and it makes it more achievable. Tell everyone, like I mentioned before, anyone that's in your circle or just those you interact with on a weekly or daily basis, tell them about things that have to be done, or how your week or certain time on a certain day is going to be limited. Making more people aware of it will maybe make them more aware of not to try to reach out to you during those days, and maybe look for other means of help before they come to you. I know saying no is very challenging, but those who actually care and like they may be upset at first, but they understand in the long run. And I know like that seems to be one of the issues that a lot of people shared in the past about why saying no is so challenging. And then down here is find a reward. So find something that you don't usually are able to enjoy or fit in your schedule, and make that like a goal, or like not a goal, but like a prize that once you do whatever tasks or one task at a time, you find just a small reward to reward yourself, and it gives you that extra motivation to accomplish it. Start it now. I know this is one that has been very beneficial to me. I always think of that one saying is like, make one day today. Say like, one day I'll do this, or I'll do that later. Do it today. Get it started. Once you get it started, that's probably the hardest part, at least for me. And once you start going, it kind of makes everything fall into place, especially if you've taken it apart previously and have a plan. Once you start, it just kind of, just like dominoes, just falls into place. And Sunday is say no, which kind of connects with Thursday in a way. Just trying, I know it can be challenging, but just saying no to like going out and having fun, or maybe someone that I get understand, like someone needs a ride that's a little different, but like someone's asking you to help them come over and paint on a certain day. Just say like, today's really bad, I can help you on Sunday, but just I have to say no today. So just being able to just take these little just tips, I guess you could say, and be able to apply them to certain tasks you have to do, or just certain plans. Like if you have a time management plan, trying to incorporate these into every task you tackle can definitely go a long way. Anyone care to share anything or highlight any of these points or tips? All right, awesome. So how to avoid your distractions?
Neil, I have something to add.
Please.
Yeah, I think it's easy to say, but difficult to do, because here we have, when you are really in the situation, you forgot all these things, and you just deal with it as a whole problem. You don't split it as parts, or you want to get rid of it as soon as possible, so you get lost. This is the issue, I guess, and I don't know, I don't have the solution, but this is what it is.
So you're saying that like doing a lot of these tips just are impractical for you, like it's just something you wouldn't actually do or have time for?
No.
Oh, okay.
These techniques are good, but once you are in the issue, once you are in front of the problem, maybe you get lost, and you don't think to these strategies. You don't pick up one of them and do it. You try just to do from yourself.
No, definitely. Sorry, I misunderstood what you said prior, but no, you're definitely right. I guess these are, I would say these are more for like if thinking ahead of time, and being, if you actually are practicing time management and you're able to kind of map out whatever your tasks are, these are definitely beneficial. But like you said, if you're not really good at time management and you're kind of in the thick of things, a lot of these become kind of impractical, or I should say a little too late, most of them at least, and trying to like prioritize when you're already in the thick of things, and that's when everything's crazy. Like as soon as you procrastinate everything and one task is completed, you really don't have time for that reward or that time to take the next challenge apart, because it's just one thing on top of another, and you're just in that crazy chaos that is procrastination. Oh, sorry about the noise, baby in the background. So how to avoid your distractions? As Rashid said before about the cell phone, that's a big one. But having a definite time and established place to study, that's one thing from working with a lot of scholars. At least when the pandemic first started, that was a huge issue, just because a lot more people were pretty much forced to stay home and confined. Those who were maybe working during the day or went away to school were now all under the same roof. So finding that time for peace and quiet was very difficult. I know actually some people actually went to public places to actually find that private time, whether it was like in a stairwell in their apartment building, or if they had the access to a car and it wasn't too hot or too cold, that was a good place to go. Turning off phone, TV, and music so you can focus on what needs to be done. Trying to eliminate any distractions such as that especially distractions that appeal to the senses, such as sound, visual, especially smell, especially if you're starving and you're around something that smells really good, that can be very distracting as well. Let friends know when they can and cannot contact you. Schedule your social time if possible. Probably that phone app, or not app, but setting that Alicia was talking about would be very beneficial for this. Take short breaks to relax while making sure you complete your tasks, kind of the Pomodoro technique. making sure that you have your task out, but you also make sure you have times to give yourself that little mental reset and break, whether it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes, if you can actually fit that in your schedule. But making sure you take a little time to step away can definitely do more in the long run to accomplishing your task and effectively accomplishing them. Anyone else have any tips or insight on how to avoid distractions? Anything I missed or anything that I did share that they can relate to? All right. Just make a to-do list. Definitely one strategy you can use. Keep track of what needs to be done daily, weekly, and monthly, whether it's a physical calendar, like Pamela said, or whether it's digital on your phone. I know through our email, or at least pretty much all emails, but at least with our Hudson email with Microsoft Outlook, we have there's that calendar option on the top right where you can pretty much map out your days and weeks. I know so it can be a little tedious, so making actually time in your schedule to make time for time management is kind of can be a little tricky, but it like again, it can prioritize a lot of things and make a lot of confusion that can occur later not happen. To know what has to be accomplished and what still needs to be done. I suggested this to a lot of scholars I've worked with. Basically every week, even or maybe if your schedule's that crazy that maybe twice a week, like once on Sunday and then once on Thursday, like a midway checkpoint, you outline what needs to be done and what still has yet to be done in that midweek check. And also when you're doing that pretty much that weekly plan, you kind of, if it's prioritized, whether it's through color coding, such as doing what needs to be done most important red and maybe what's not as important blue, or just kind of listing it in order of importance, can be very beneficial as well. Plan for busy periods, especially if you work retail. I know when holidays come up, that's also when like midterms come up and finals. So trying to, if you have like a, let's say like a term paper, as it says here, or an exam, you know, it's going to be happening, you know, not to cram it all during those crazy holiday times that maybe October, right before Halloween, is more of a relaxed time for you. So maybe you'll get that term paper done then, or at least a majority of the heavy lifting for it, whether it's the research or typing the body of it, something like along those lines of just prioritizing your busy periods and knowing that they can occur and how to avoid trying to put everything into those busy periods. Oh, went too fast. And to set priorities for your tasks and to know when you will need to say no. Again, prioritizing your task and learning to do the difficult thing of saying no is very key. It can be, especially if you like to help all those and be that go-to person in a lot of people's lives and in your life, saying no is challenging, but you can't help anyone if you don't help yourself first. And I've forgotten that in the past, and I know a lot of us do, that you're no good to anyone else if you're not good to yourself. Is there a thing such as being too organized? Of course there is. There's such a thing as being too anything. So yes, don't aim for perfection in every task. However, always apply your best effort. Don't beat yourself up over it. Make I don't like to say failures, but make every stumble in life a learning lesson. Whether you realize that you got an F and you realize that you should have put more time, or maybe you put too much time into this one subject when you shouldn't have. It's all about learning and always learning that perfection is impossible. So definitely don't beat yourself up or stay too down on yourself. Be flexible if you can. Time is unpredictable. Again, priorities and different situations in all of our lives, different lives make things like maybe someone may have more flexible time than another, but just trying to kind of plan that and try to, maybe if you can, when you map out your weekly schedule, see that like your Thursdays you don't work and you only have one class, that could be your flexible day of the week. So maybe try to realize that you can push certain things to that, or maybe not put anything on that flexible day and just leave it as flexible, and just know that once you get there, you can maybe use it to tackle something you didn't have enough time for, or you thought you would not have, or have more time for, and you'd ended up not, or just that self-care time. Just trying to be flexible if you're allowed is definitely beneficial. Don't overcommit yourself. It's like, again, that kind of goes to don't burning yourself out. Don't put too much of, like, let's say I only have 2 days to complete this, so I should get it all done in this first day. Don't strain yourself, because that's only going to lead to stress and being overworked. Creative time or relaxing is not wasting time. So there, like I said, with make it meaningful. If it's just that walk outside and that hour that you can do that, all the other hours up to that has just been crazy. If you're using that time for self-care, it's not wasting time because you're taking care of yourself and you're kind of exercising your mind to do something that's not just a task or something that needs to be done. And allowing for time to do things you like. Again, it's not wasting time. Hobbies, sports, any kind of activities, especially spending those with your loved ones and families. It's definitely very beneficial and it's not wasting time. I know we're kind of coming to a close here, so I'm a little brushing over this, but anyone have anything they'd like to share or add?
There's something that you could do. My niece and her husband, they're both doctors, and when they were in medical school, because you're saying don't overcommit yourself, like everybody had so many different things that they had to do, they would share a Google Calendar. So they knew what each other's things were on there and when they would have time to like be together or whatever it was. But that's very helpful. I sometimes do that with my kids because like I said, there's a lot of things that they all go to different schools. I'm going to school now. I work at a school. There's a lot of school activities that could like either overlap or coincide. And this way we know like when I can't do something with one of them and maybe my husband has to do something with the kids instead of me and so on. So that's helpful. You can connect them on the Google Calendar. You can choose who to share it with in your family.
Cool. No, I often, as much as technology surrounds us, I often overlook the simple things like a Google Calendar and be able to share things like that. So thank you, Pamela. And how will I know I have effective time management skills? Well, you'll definitely just see it in just your daily life and even your stress level and just overall well-being. You'll have set priorities, especially for class and assignments. You'll start to achieve your goals both in short and long. You will find yourself not being burnt out from trying to cram everything. There will be time for friends and fun. And your education will be a journey, not a destination. That's what I think an issue with my college was, since I worked full-time and went to school and also first generation, as I didn't really understand exactly what I was getting into or how to prioritize everything. College became a job, not actually a journey. And I felt like I didn't get to really explore it as an experience and take full advantage of it. And I know a lot of scholars that I speak with can relate to this. And then common peer tips, using a whiteboard, kind of what Pamela was saying before, some large, like whether it's a calendar or not just Pamela, but also Alicia, thank you. Something that is in a general like community setting or community area, whether it's a kitchen or somewhere like even in the, maybe you could put a whiteboard on the hallway where everyone leaves out the front door, something that you could see your goals for the day, or even above your computer where you do your schoolwork, something that's concrete listed in front of you. Whiteboard, I would say, is pretty good too, because you can always erase every week, but just the way that you see it every day, anything you're forgetting, it's kind of a refresher and just a way to organize your daily and weekly goals. And sending yourself text messages with weekly and or daily objectives. Most of us are attached to our phone, so when you start the day, if you have that time to just text, like don't forget to email this teacher that you might need an extension on a paper, or don't forget to do this. When you have it actually sent it out there, maybe you're looking through your phone later, you see that you texted yourself or you sent yourself an email. It'll be in just another fail safe or another just preventive measure to make sure you don't forget something or overlook a certain task that needs to be done. And there will always be time for friends and fun. I know there's certain weeks where you think like you're just drowning in work and it's like, when am I going to be able to enjoy myself? Just realize that there is going to be that light at the end of the tunnel, that you're going to have those difficult weeks, and that at the end of the semester, or maybe even next week, there'll be that time where you can actually enjoy it and unwind. And if you do all this, your education will be a journey and not a destination and a job. So that comes to the end of our workshop. I want to open up for questions or comments, but I also don't want to hold anyone up. So just so you know, in the chat box, I'm going to put the EOF workshop completion form. You can fill that out and it automatically submits to our database. So you'll receive your credit for this workshop. And also please just put your name in the chat box as well, just to make sure that you do get your credit. I just put the link in right now. The link is in there for everyone. I'll send it again because I know everyone's typing their names. But with that being said, does anyone have any questions or comments? Anything that I addressed or maybe missed?
Well, I just wanted to say hi. I'm not sure if we've met yet. I was given this link from Professor Lowe, as I'm going to be a new intern working with you guys. So hopefully I'll be able to see most of you later in the future. And just I enjoyed the workshop. This was really nice to come in and see how interactive everybody was. So thank you for having me.
Oh, appreciate it, Alicia. I think you do look familiar. I've probably seen you at Kane before, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I'm a grad student at Kane.
Awesome. Well, congrats. And Mr. Lowe's a really great mentor, so you definitely signed on for a good program. Thank you for sharing. If anyone else needs if you want to chat it, or I'll be waiting afterwards. If there's anything that you don't want to share publicly, I can discuss with you. And if you want me to email you the PowerPoint, that's always an option as well. Just feel free to just give me your email and I can send it to you. And if, again, like I stated in the beginning, this is recorded, so it'll be on the YouTube channel if you ever need to watch it or refer it to anyone.
Yeah, I would love the PowerPoint.
Okay. Just please put your email in.
Me too.
I know you've given me your email in the past, Amy, but if you could do me a huge favor and just if you could put it in the chat box, it would save me some minutes trying to dig through my email. So I would appreciate it. Annie, Gwen, or Asma, I know you're a little quiet this time, which is perfectly fine. I just want to give you the opportunity to share or ask any questions if you would like, and make sure that you do. I know you did put your names in. All right, if no one has anything to add, thank you for all participating and just being in attendance. I hope that you're able to get something positive and learn something from this. If not from the PowerPoint, at least the interaction with each other. And again, stay warm, be safe out there. And also reach out anytime, any day, if you need help with anything, and I can make sure I'll get you in touch with anyone that can help you with whatever the issue or the challenge you are facing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Asma, what you were saying something? Oh, she's gone.
That was good.
Oh, I didn't think you were here.
So no, I mean, it's just like my camera doesn't work for my laptop, and I usually have like a camera I hug, but it's like downstairs. It's just too late to
That's
get.
cool.
I took attendance, if anything.